Well, I'm going to begin by asking, talking about football really, it felt like a really great entry point into this world, because there's something obviously quite primitive and tribalistic about football. Was that where the kind of idea for using that particular sport sort of spawned from?
Yeah, it really came from, you know, often these things come from just doodles really, and I was playing around with kicking around ideas, you know, with cavemen and clubs, you know, the typical, and it started off with like baseball, rounders, you know, sport, and then started to think, yeah, as you say, football is so tribal, and could it be a kind of a force that civilized humanity, sort of thing? And it just started. It seemed to be an idea that had legs, and so Mark, Burton, and I, you know, that's what we went with really.
I still feel as well that if England had played Germany back in the Bronze Age, we still would have lost on penalties.
Yeah. I know there's a kind of a joke underneath it all, which was a problem for us in the story, how to solve it, of how do the people that have invented the game actually win the game, you know, because they don't seem to be able to ever win it. And so it's a kind of a self-deprecating joke there.
Yeah. And one of my favourite things about all of Aardman's kind of movies and short movies and everything you've sort of done is there's very small kind of moments just almost happening in the background, the little kind of characters that have those little lines or just the looks, the very small kind of subtle details. Yeah. I just wonder how much of that is spontaneous. Is a lot of that in the screenplay, or are you ever kind of playing around in the moment and just think, oh, that could be something that could be funny?
Yeah, it's both really. I mean, there's so many stages to the whole process, you know, like the writing itself, you know, we come up with loads of gags, and in the storyboard, the story artists come up with loads of stuff, and then when we're filming and when we're designing the sets, you know, the art department are doing puns on labels, and you know, there's so many we can't use them all. I was always sorry we never got to use a poster saying carbon dating, find love carbon dating, but that never found its way in. But
a deleted scene or anything.
Yeah, I think we made the poster and it was never used.
Right. And because, I mean, there must be, I mean, there's always a sense of pride and achievement for any filmmaker when they've finished a project, but particularly with your projects, I mean, they're so sort of arduous, I guess, at times, but they're so lengthy in how long they kind of take to complete, that when it is all done and you sit there and watch it on the big screen in front of a sort of room full of people, there must be a real sense of kind of accomplishment, like we've got there. Yeah,
I still got to have that experience because I haven't seen it. I saw a couple of test screenings a couple of months ago.
It's quite good, by the way. I just
Thanks. I know. I feel like I've just, because I only signed off the film a week ago, and from the mix and the grade and everything, and I feel like I've just come out of the ship's engine room and covered in grease, and and it's being able to step back it's really hard to find objectivity when you're making the film, so it's always satisfying to know if it's worked or not.
Of course, you've sort of collected a real ensemble of really hugely talented sort of actors, but it's interesting that they're not using their kind of their distinctive. Well, Timothy Spall is, but lots of them aren't using the kind of distinctive voices that we recognise them for. So I guess in some ways you're using them more for their talent than their. Sort of, I don't know, having them just there for us to say, oh, I know that voice.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm not really a fan of just famous voices especially in animation, because especially if a lot of actors, if you take their physical performance away, the voice doesn't stand out. So that's what we're always looking for, is something that feels very special and belongs to this world, where they're all a bit quirky or a bit something, that's something that you need. And that's why it was great to work with these, talented actors who could give it something else. And as you say, it's great fun to know that you wouldn't, I love the fact that you wouldn't expect Tom Hiddleston to play that role.
Yeah. And also what you get with productions like this is, I guess the characters never change. I mean, you could have a kind of Wallace and a Gromit sat there in your kind of mantelpiece at home, and they're always Wallace and Gromit. But say you were Scorsese and you directed Taxi Driver, you'd meet Robert De Niro 6 months later, and he wouldn't be the same character. But you've always got those characters kind of there forever in some ways. They're actual kind of physical things that exist.
Yeah, I see what you mean. Yeah, they're kind of evergreen. You kind of go back to them, and they haven't aged. No. They're still the same character. Yeah.
And just finally, Shaun the Sheep 2 is the next one, I believe. When can have you got started on that one yet? And when
they have started it. It's all being run by a very talented colleague of mine who I've known for. He's been at Aardman from the beginning, Richard Starzak, and he created Rex the Runt, and then took on Shaun the Sheep and expanded it into a series and created all his characters. So he's right on it. He's all over it right now.
I'm assuming, will that be a silent movie again?
In that same sense, yes. In terms of, I think, yeah, that no dialogue sort of thing. Yeah, definitely. I think.
Can't wait. Thanks so much for your time today.
Yeah, great. You too.
Ladies and gentlemen, you're watching Hey You Guys.
Hey You Guys, huh?
Hey You Guys.
Is that from the Goonies?
It is indeed, yeah.
Nice.
Hey!